I got this feeling. Inside my bones. I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric, baby, when I turn it on. All through my city, all through my home. We're flying up, no ceiling when we're in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good song in my feet. Feel that hot breath in my body when it drops. Oh, I can't take my eyes above it. Moving so phenomenally. You gon' like the way we rock it, so don't stop. And under the lights, when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm in your clothes. When we're moving, you already know. So just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. You're creeping up on me, so just dance, dance, dance. All those things I should do, but you dance, dance, dance. Ain't nobody leaving, so stay dancing. I am also flying, flying on, flying up no feel like on, flying in my city like on, flying where it on, also flying, flying on, flying up no feel like on, flying in my city like on, flying where it on. All things I should do, dance, dance, dance. Ain't nobody leaving, so keep dancing. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric, baby, when I turn it on. All through my city, all through my home. We're flying up, no ceiling when we're in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, that good song in my feet. Feel that hot breath in my body. Oh, I can't take my eyes above it. Moving so phenomenally. You gon' like the way we rock it, so don't stop. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. You're creeping up on me, so just dance, dance, dance. All those things I should do, but you dance, dance, dance. Ain't nobody leaving, so stay dancing. Flying up to flying, flying on, flying up no speed, flying in a city, flying on, flying where it on, flying flying on, flying up no speed, flying on, flying in a city, flying on, flying where it on. All those things I should do.
Listen, everyone, before the show gets started, I want to first let you know that you can always support the show via Cash App, Zelle, PayPal. All financial contributions are greatly appreciated, and we really do thank you so much. Now sit back and let's enjoy.
Child sexual abuse among Jehovah's Witnesses and
at a convention of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Your baptism, you said yes.
They're joining more than 8 million members worldwide. Believers are taught to renounce secular society because it's controlled by Satan.
These 13 men and women grew up as Jehovah's Witnesses.
How many of you are telling your story for the first time on television?
I feel honored to be in this room with all of these survivors.
Now all adults and living in different cities, we brought them together in California for the largest television group interview of its kind.
How many of you have thought about harming yourself? Oh my.
None of us had to be. It could have been. I could have had a different life.
I was 6.
I remember being lifted up out of my bed.
I said to my dad, I think something happened to me.
We didn't know how many other victims there were, and still don't.
Former Jehovah's Witnesses tell their chilling stories of alleged abuse for the first time. One of them is Sarah Brooks.
Conti's lawyer says instructions from Jehovah's Witness leaders have enabled child molesters.
The instructions were you keep these pedophiles secret.
In Cumberland, Pennsylvania, I was a Jehovah's Witness for 38 years. When I became an elder, the first elders meeting, they brought us up to speed, and Sarah's case was brought up. They never mentioned the person's name who abused her. All I know, there was some kind of sexual encounter.
Sarah claims that she was abused by a man and woman who were close to her family, and that she
And you don't take into consideration, do you, how people outside of the church might be kept safe from such a person whom you're not satisfied will not reoffend?
If they were outside the church and they were a close friend, I would tell them.
Well, and how would you know if they're a close friend and they're outside of the church?
If they're a close friend of mine.
A close friend of yours?
If I was. Yes. If I associated with them.
What about people who are not close friends of yours, others than outside of the church? You don't take any steps, do you, to protect them from this potential reoffending? You don't, do you? You're concerned with the congregation principally, aren't you?
We're concerned with the congregations. We are shepherds of the congregation.
Even harder for David to read.
Being a Jehovah's Witness is one of the hardest things to be as a child.
Are they potentially destroying evidence?
I think that there is a potential that they are destroying evidence.
David Bonici's memories haunt him.
Started very young.
David claims a male relative subjected him to years of physical and sexual abuse. His earliest memory is from when he was just 4. He says his sister Danielle, who took her own life 12 years ago, was also abused.
These 13 men and women grew up as Jehovah's Witnesses.
How many of you are telling your story for the first time on television?
I feel honored to be in this room with all of these survivors.
Now all adults and living in different cities, we brought them together in California for the largest television group interview of its kind.
How many of you have thought about harming yourself? Oh my.
None of us had to be. It could have been. I could have had a different life.
So I was 6.
David Bonici's memories haunt him.
Started very young.
David claims a male relative subjected him to years of physical and sexual abuse. His earliest memory is from when he was just 4. He says his sister Danielle, who took her own life 12 years ago, was also abused.
Fox 4 News starts now.
Hello and good evening. I'm Steve Eager. First on Fox 4 News at 5:30 tonight. 6 people have filed a civil lawsuit saying when they were children, they were sexually abused by church elders within local Jehovah's Witness Kingdom halls. Attorneys for the plaintiffs, who are now adults, say this involves a major cover-up that spans decades.
But you don't think this is not you?
No, that must be a mistake. That must be for something else.
The man who answered confirmed he's Jackson, but seemed to know nothing about the claims against him, including the complaint which says Jackson groomed member children and then, while acting in a position of authority and trust, sexually abused them.
Be scared to die for the truth. The truth is the only thing that's ever going to be constant.
Okay, what's going on, everybody? Hope all is well. Everybody is here. Spencer, Molly, Simon, Matt, Chessa. We're grateful everybody is here. Listen, I'm King Jives, and I am partnering with the XJayDub Cafe YouTube channel, and we're all talking about this. This is really about Raz B and his situation with Chris Stokes and Marques Houston and the Jehovah's Witness organization. and Raz B will be coming in just a minute. But this is a lot, and it's very sensitive to a lot of people because a lot of people have been involved in this situation. And as you all can see from the news report, this has been going on for quite some time. I see some people saying that they're really confused in the comments, but I'm going to.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And
I just want to say thanks for having us.
Oh, Spencer, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm about to throw it to you anyways because I'm driving.
Okay.
I don't want to be rude, but
no, you're good.
What we have done here on this platform, we talked about abuse. We've talked about just misconduct, especially within the church, and we've done this a lot on this platform. And so we're very grateful that you all have partnered and we've joined together and we talked about this. We're going to go ahead and move forward. And I'm very grateful to all of my guests for taking time out of your schedules today to even have this conversation. Go ahead,
Thank
Spencer.
you for having us.
Thank you for having us, Jives. And I just want to say to the international panel of activists today, thank you so much for coming on. As Jives said today, we have Chessa. Chessa is an ex-Jehovah's Witness. She's an activist. She's a protester. She used to protest at the headquarters. She was also featured in the Oxygen Special Part 1, Chessa. And she will be giving her story and shedding some light, giving her thoughts today. Molly is an activist from Hungary. She is starting some ex-Jehovah's Witness activism over in her area. She works with sex abuse survivors as well. As you know, Simon T and I, we're from the XJayDub Cafe. Thank you so much for joining us. We thank you so much, Jives, for partnering with our collabing with our little old platform to get the word out. A lot of people might be asking why the Jehovah's Witness angle. Well, Marques Houston and Chris Stokes are Jehovah's Witnesses. And the question is, did they run to the Jehovah's Witnesses to be hard to get safe place because of the historic news that have been in that Jehovah's Witnesses have made because of their refusal to turn over abusers? So we're going to talk about our activism, what we plan to do, letter writing. There's Matt. Matt has joined us again. Can you hear us, Matt? Good. Matt is an elder, or former elder. Sorry. Former. Why don't I let you introduce yourself, Matt? And we'll just go around.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matt. I'm from Jamaica, Queens, New York City. I am a former Jehovah's Witness elder, and unfortunately, I have seen some child sexual abuse cases, so that's why I'm on the show today to talk about these unfortunate things that happen in the Jehovah's Witness organization and how they cover up things systematically.
Thank you. And then I guess to begin, while we're waiting for Raz to pop back in, we did get a chance to talk to Raz backstage. He is going to pop in, and as soon as he do, we'll go ahead and pipe him in, right, Jives? So, Chessa, can you tell us a little bit about your work and the oxygen and the protests and how you got the attention of the news, girl?
It was it takes really a long while for survivors to get attention, which is the sad part. It started off where I just talked about my story. I joined ex-Jehovah's Witness groups to get support. And then I saw someone was going to write an article from the Philadelphia Inquirer on Jehovah's Witnesses and sex abuse. And so I decided to write to him and tell him my story. His name is David Gambacorta. So he published my story first. Then I did my first protest, which I believe was in near Philly, Reading, Pennsylvania. And then from there, I got contacted by the witnesses, which I didn't know that's what it was yet. But they said they'd seen the things that I was doing and they wanted to see if I would be on the show. So then I started communicating with them and I got in touch with Trey, who is the main investigative reporter on the show. And that's kind of how things happen. But, we really have to put ourselves out there to get anyone to hear us. And it's kind of similar to a lot of other things that we deal with in society as far as oppression goes. People don't have an open ear when you have these sort of problems. So it's really difficult to be able to come out into public and talk about that. And that's what I appreciate about Raz, is really being vocal and getting his voice out there and talking about what happened to him, because especially as a male survivor, that's hard. But mainly what I do now is if someone comes to me and they've been abused, whether or not it had to do with an organization, I try to get them in touch with local people who can help them as far as therapy, legal counsel, And then if they do have something that's against the high control organization like Watchtower, I try to put them in touch with resources for legal that deals specifically with things of that nature, or try to get them whatever support that they need.
Chessa, you're doing really good work, and as you, our viewers know that Chessa, I, and Molly, sometimes Matt and sometimes Simon, but it's mostly a girl thing. We collabed for our Glass Table Live, where we featured a lot of victim stories. If you are watching as Jehovah's Witnesses, I see some ex-Jehovah's Witnesses out there. You remember the Royal Commission, the Australian historic case that brought to light that the Jehovah's Witnesses were hiding 100, and if I'm lying, y'all let me know. They were hiding 106 child sex abusers. And here's the thing, in churches generally, because we're not talking about the Catholics and some other small churches here through there who've been on the news for not reporting abuse, but generally, churches are inclined to pick up the phone and call the police when things are reported. The reason why we fight so hard, the reason why we protest so hard, the reason why we call Satan, satanic, mentally diseased, and we appear in the Watchtower. How many times we appear in the Watchtower, apostates? Like every other month when they get mad at us for protesting and stuff. But Jehovah's Witnesses are unique is that they require a second person to witness the abuse. They don't take DNA. They don't take, I know Matt could probably speak more to this. They require a second witness to the abuse before they will even bring it to a church investigation. And then if there is a mandatory reporting state, they might report it, right, Matt?
That's correct. And the way the procedure worked when I was serving as an elder was that once there is an allegation of abuse, before it goes to anyone else, it has to go to the Jehovah's Witness headquarters. And from there, they give the elders in the congregation some direction on how to deal with it. But any person who's listening to that would naturally, alarms would go off in their head, because why isn't the first person you're going to the authorities? And of course, once it's investigated, it's handled by elders in the congregation, not the police, not any kind of paid professional investigator, just regular guys with suits on. And they're investigating something with no training, no real training for how to treat victims, how to investigate something properly. And we're talking about children victims. So there's going to be a certain amount of sensitivity that's necessary that these men are just not trained for.
And that's the key, because they take it upon themselves to decide and pick and choose which cases should be reported, if at all. And like you said, that, what it makes it hard for survivors to come forward is because a lot of them get shut down. I know personally, I know of people who were, who accused certain persons in the congregation of rape and was told that the person somehow wanted it or something like that. Or, I mean, you get a spectrum of stories all over the world. Chessa is here in the U.S., like Matt and Simon and I, and Molly is in Hungary, but we have a lot of activists all over the world and report the same. They report different stories. All of them vary, but what is the same is the elders in the congregation are instructed not to call the police on abusers, because they do not want to bring what they call reproach on their God. They don't want to put a stain on their organization. Simon, let's get you in here, and then Molly. You and I have worked with those in who have experienced sex abuse. My personal story. As a former Jehovah's Witness, how you see this, and a son of an elder.
Well, I see it as a systematic problem. The guidelines and principles that the Jehovah's Witnesses set up to, first of all, investigate claims of sexual abuse is mostly to, first of all, the way the rules are set up they have a 2-witness rule where it requires 2 material witnesses to validate a claim of abuse. And the major reason for that is to, in their eyes, stop frivolous claims of sexual assault. Anywhere else, no, they would, anybody else wouldn't have that type of mentality. When somebody is accusing someone of sexual assault, they would want to find the truth. In the witnesses case, their first goal is to make it more difficult to be able to prove that. So it wasn't even until 2018 that they would accept a written statement as a testimony. Before then, you had to actually sit across from the person who molested you and bear your grievances in front of them. And you know, that's a very difficult thing. Like, the police don't even require you to do that. So their goal, the way their system is set up, is not for justice. It's to alleviate any black mark that that allegation would bring upon the organization.
Thank you. And I'm going to call you Holly. Molly, you had something to add?
Yeah, so I started my activism roughly 1.5 years ago. And one of the first things I did was meet with an elder. And, well, I knew him from my childhood. He didn't recognize me because I left the organization when I was pushing 15. And now then I was 23, so he didn't recognize me, but I did recognize him, and he was an elder. And I asked him about how they handle child sex abuse cases, and he tried to deny these things that we're talking about, the 2-witness rule. He tried to tell me that they do call the police, but it's primarily the parents' responsibility and all that. And he tried to deny all of this until I whipped out my Shepherd the Flock of God book, which, if you're an XJayDub or a more courageous JW, a Jehovah's Witness, you might know as like the Elder's Secret Handbook or whatever. But anyway, and then he instantly started almost like panicking and freaking out. Like, he was like, I understand that you want to get to the truth and all of that, but we cannot discuss this book as you're studying because it's for the elders only. So I asked, but child abuse doesn't happen to the elders only, does it? And he was like, oh, but the others are the spiritually strong brothers who lead the congregation, so obviously this is information that only they need. And I'm like, no, if it pertains to children being abused, it's information that everyone should have access to. And that's when he cut our meeting short very quickly. And this was in November 2019. So I'm sharing that to say that they still do this, and the Jehovah's Witness elder who actually raised me was highly abusive towards his family, and they found out that he was cheating on his wife, and he beat his wife to the point of miscarrying a child. But all they did was slap him on the wrist and put him in another congregation as a ministerial servant instead of an elder. So that should have been a red flag, but I was way too young.
But so here's the problem. People say, okay, I get that you're protesting. I get you're trying to bring awareness to this issue. What exactly is besides not calling the police, are the people? Are the witnesses not doing? Because I've heard people say, Jehovah's Witnesses say, well, it's the parents' responsibility to call the police. It's not the church's responsibility, right? And that may be on some level true, even though we believe that the church has shared responsibility. But check this out. Even if they try a person, right? They have to have a second person witnessing abuse. And what abuser is gonna, there's very few abusers that are gonna abuse a child in front of somebody else for a witness. So that normally never happens. So even if they have a church investigation and they have a church tribunal or a church court case, and the person is found that they didn't have substantial evidence or whatever, this person can go back to the hall, can be around kids in the bathroom, can go door knocking with the kids. I mean, they still have access to children. Even if they were disciplined, they still have the same access. Even if they were kicked out of the hall, they can still come back in the hall. Now think about this, when you report this to the police, we know that child abusers are not allowed within a few feet of schools, a few feet of anywhere children are allowed. So if the world can hold abusers accountable, how much more so the church? How much more so than the Jehovah's Witnesses, who claim to be the only true religion in the entire earth? And a lot of people feel like, okay, well, they look nice. They come to my door, they spreading the gospel. Most of them are. But if you challenge them on the way that they handle child sex abuse, you get called mentally diseased, an apostate, a hater, satanic, and you get featured in the Watchtower, I don't know, semi-monthly or whenever they feel like it, to try to scare people into not talking to us or scare us out of doing what we're doing. And that's simply just holding them accountable for abusing children. And I was talking to Jives. I was moved by Jives live the other day. And it made me reach out to him because Jives was so emphatic. I don't know if y'all, make sure y'all check it out. When he talks about church sex abuse, it just made me think like, wow, there are so many similarities.
Well, Spencer, honestly, not only are there similarities, but it's the same thing. Whether it's the Church of God in Christ, whether it's Baptist, Pentecostal, PAW, whatever the case may be, you see a lot of these things go on. And, you know, Kojic doesn't have a watchtower, but they have reportkojicabuse.com. But however, these things go on as if it's unnoticed. And then just like Raz B, I was waiting for him to come in. Just like Raz B, you know, then you get older and you have to deal with the mental issues. And I'm not saying that he's mental or anybody who's gone through this is mental, but you have to deal with what has happened in your childhood or young adult, whatever. You got to deal with that. And then what makes it really bad is the preachers. Somebody said CPS. I'm going to get to that in just a second. Somebody's is that the preachers will stand up in the pulpit and they will preach against this. They'll preach against, you know, immoralities and sexual abuse and misconduct. And meanwhile, I was just telling Raz B this before we came on. Meanwhile, what you preach against, you going right back to the back office and either sucking dick, excuse me, y'all, sucking dick, licking on somebody else's private parts and carrying on. And then we get up and we preach this stuff, and then everybody's rahu, rahu. And the person who you just did this to is sitting there scratching their head like, I'm confused. Like, is it right or is it wrong? Because you're preaching this right now, but you just had me in the back, or you just had me to bring you over in the back room. And it brings about a lot of confusion. And then when you bring this stuff to the forefront, everybody's like, you need to hush. Touch not mine anointed. And I'm confused. Like, how is it that when something is done wrong, the church hollers out, touch not mine anointed? When the person who's supposed to be the shepherd is the actual wolf, and they're actually laying prey to the sheep that's in the church. And now we're just like, oh, you're lying, you're lying. So we're lying, and half these people that's speaking out about this are the ones that have been involved, or that have been the victims, or they are the families of the victims. But we're supposed to be quiet, because if we say something, we are demonic. Didn't you just say that, Spencer? You said if you speak out against this type of behavior, you are demonic.
Exactly.
And so, and I you know, I don't want to take up too much time because I know it's a lot of people on here. And the thing is, it's like, how is me speaking facts, truth, and my reality, how is that demonic when the person that I looked up to for spiritual guidance has taken advantage of me? Now, Chessa, is that right?
Chessa.
Chessa. I'm sorry, I said your name wrong. I apologize.
You're fine. You're totally
I
fine.
have taken my time for years. Say that again.
You're totally fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have taken my time for years. I didn't even realize that this was going on in the Jehovah's Witness church.
Mm-hmm.
But I've taken my time for years. And I took the beat downs. I took the people dragging me on social media because I decided to be a voice. I did not realize, because again, I'm consumed over here in my organization and black folks and craziness and stuff. I didn't realize this was going on over here. But to hear these stories, I just did a story, I think maybe it was November, October, somewhere like that. I was telling Raz this when we all went earlier. It was about 4 or 5 young men that were molested, taken advantage of by this preacher who is still being hid by the church. He's not being hid, but he's being covered by the church. And nobody's going to do anything.
That's sad.
This young man, they said it gave him HIV. His family protects them, and ironically, what really pissed me off was he was at his convocation last year and stood up at the event. I'm gonna say it again. He stood up at the event and was saying how these young men are a liar. Now, the preachers that was on the pulpit were preachers that had slept with the man before and been involved with the man. So, Spencer, there's your 2 or 3 right there.
That's 2, 3 witnesses
with the man. And they're sitting there, amen, and agreeing with the preacher. Huh? And then the women are like, yeah, that's why they'll be lying on a man of God. And meanwhile, there are young babies sitting right here on the front row playing the drums. And my heart was broken because I said, if anything, these are some more young men or young boys that are going to be groomed. Now, mind you, I have not been touched or anything in my life, but like so many of us, I have either seen this or I have family members or people that are close to me that have been involved in this. And this is the stuff that breaks my heart, because how can we preach out of a book that we're supposed to say is the righteousness and the rightness, and yet and still we take this book and we twist it and turn it for our own benefit, and we still kill people by using the book?
Exactly. It's supposed to be a book of life. It's supposed to be a book that imparts life, and yet people use that book to be able to shut down your voice. To if you have a different opinion, you can just forget about it. And hey, I know we're talking to your viewership too as well, King Jives. You know, I'm one of your viewers. One of your, I love being on in your lives and everything. And I'll just say that you have been outspoken about it for a very long time. For a very long time. I remember, I won't name his name, but I remember some of the interviews that you've had with people who make accusations of child sex abuse. And I think what's so interesting about Raz is one of the reasons what made me want to reach out to him was because I feel anger. I feel anger every time. Number one, Chris Stokes blocked me the other day on Twitter. Marques hasn't blocked me yet. I know, Matt, you said Chris Stokes blocked you and Marques Houston blocked you on Twitter, right? Trying to call him
in. They
in.
have me blocked for close to a year now.
And trying to call into account because they're running scared. And I think it sickens me that Marques and Chris Stokes are putting up posts as if they're these model Jehovah's Witnesses. And I think that's one of the things that irritated Raz so much, that he considers himself a man of God. And then they go around saying, oh, you got to join us or your religion don't matter. And yet these are his abusers that he has to face. And they make him feel like he has to concede over and over and over just to make them where either, like, for instance, before he comes on here, I remember Amorion, Moniz, a few others who were trying to get their careers popping right in the beginning when he started talking about these accusations, and they were shutting him out, down, gaslighting him, calling him, saying he had problems. And now you can tell, if you look at some of the clips, there is Sean Davis show, the one who gave us permission for the clips. We want to give him a shout out today.
Mm-hmm.
He does an excellent job of bringing this to light in the form of videos. And you'll see the lives and stuff. But I don't know if we can get a chance to actually flash some of the Instagram posts that Marques and Chris Stokes are posting as they're not just Raz, but there are other victims who have spoken out. So we'll get those up. And I just wanted to say also, and I'm gonna pass it to someone else here who wants to speak.
Did you want me to play did you want me to play 2 of the Instagram clips?
Yeah, go ahead. I just want to say that Chris Stokes actually admitted to this. I couldn't find that clip. I couldn't put that clip up here in time, but he did actually admit it. It's out there on the internet. When he was talking to Raz B, this was a while ago, so I've been following this story forever. I've always believed Raz B. In that, Chris says, "I'm not that man no more," over the phone. I don't know if anybody so it's for him. It's an open secret. It's an open secret. So, Giles, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go ahead and bring up the Instagram post. Anybody else want to jump in here? Matt, Simon?
Can I just add something?
Oh, sure.
Sorry. Is what's weird about the Jehovah's Witnesses with regards to abuse in general, because it's not just, like I mentioned, it's marital abuse, it's domestic abuse, it's all sorts of abuse they will try and, hush and sweep it under the rug. But what's funny is that if you smoke, or if you kiss someone, if you wear a skirt that's too short, or have your shoulders out during like field service or whatever, they will publicly state Molly has
Molly, can I interrupt you for just a second? Raz, if you're out there, I know you're listening to us. Raz is having trouble, Jives, coming into here. He sent me a screenshot of his StreamYard. It's just saying it's not connecting.
Okay, tell him to refresh it. You can hear. Oh,
there he is. Here he is. The man of the hour.
Hey, Raz.
Hi, Raz.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Again, thank you for joining us. You're the man of the hour. That video, I don't know if you saw the opening video, but I'll definitely get that to you because
it was pretty.
It's really good. There's so many of us out here that stand with you, Raz. So many. Like I was telling the audience, I have always believed you. So, hey, you got the floor. Tell us what you want us to know. Tell us what you here to say.
Now we ain't got to play the video.
Right.
The video was amazing. What's up, everybody? I'm glad we were all to come together for this matter. My biggest problem that I have, and I'll put it in the best words that I can, is that when I'm a Christian, I'm baptized, I'm filled with the Holy Ghost. I truly live and walk in my own truth. And what bothers me the most is when I see Jehovah Witnesses that I know from my own personal experience, I know they're out there hurting people. And I just feel that people like that need to confess their sin publicly and get some help. Now, if they have to go to jail, that's on them. You make your bed, you lie in it. I wouldn't personally want to put anybody in jail. I wouldn't want to be in jail, so I don't wish that on anybody. I just feel like it's a mental illness, and clearly somebody must have did it to them, or maybe this is something that they grew up doing. And I just feel like it sucks because for many, many years I've been bullied out of the country. Literally, I was living in China for 7 years, and I've had a nice.
I actually thought you was over there doing work. That's what I thought.
I was doing very, very well, but during the time I left, I had a lot of controversy surrounding.
I remember that. I
You know,
remember that.
I'm not the kid crying wolf. It was just more, I'm hurt. I'm fucking in pain. I'm you know, like my career's upside down. I got people calling me names, making fun of me in songs, and that's not cool, especially as a culture. Like, shame on us. You know, I'm always
Absolutely.
be me. You know, always be keep it a buck. The thing that hurts me the most is when I'm out here trying to promote my businesses and things that I'm doing. You have these big bullies because they think they're powerful, or they think they have this power that they can just shut down interviews or shut down what I'm trying to say. All that did was piss me off. All that did was make me reach deeper in my bank account to continue to fight for this cause. So to be able to have this platform where we can share and discuss and just talk on how we feel. I don't want to go into any graphic details because I have a documentary coming up, and I look forward to really vindicating myself. It's not really about anybody else. It's really about me and my healing. But most importantly, the cool part is through my strength and through my healing, other people are able to get strength and hopefully find it well. So I just really feel that I hope that they're held accountable for their actions. I challenge the community, the Jehovah Witness community, to step forward and really look at this very closely and possibly even start an investigation. For the simple fact is that it's you know, enough is enough. You know what I'm saying? We're in the era of Me Too, you know, and most importantly, it's about coming together as one, making sure that we really seriously are able to bring these people to justice. What that's going to look like, vengeance is the Lord, so I really don't know, but I'm here to support the cause because I've been walking around traumatized since I've been a kid. And to try to sweep it under the rug as if nothing ever happened, or I'm crazy or discredit. I've been through so many stories. And, you know, for many years, I've tried to and I continue to move forward my life and my projects and so on and so forth. But clearly, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I was doing an interview and they sent the cease and desist letter.
With Jason Lee. Jason Lee.
Yeah, with Jason.
Was it Jason Lee? Yeah.
And that's another form of bullying. So, you know, I enough is enough. So whatever I have to do to stand in the gap and, you know, continue to speak my truth. Vengeance is the Lord. So I hope that something happens with Jehovah.
Well, we thank you so much for calling out the Jehovah Witnesses in that way. And I just wanted to jump in to say, as Raz is taking a breath here, is that Raz has gotten together with a few others, and he started a GoFundMe in order to begin to fund his. Somebody in the audience has already told me that they donated already, so we thank you so much just from us putting up the stream. So we thank you for that. And I was able to start a petition through change.org for him in order to get Marques Houston and Chris Stokes off the TV. Do you know that Marques Houston has a new movie coming out, or it came out, I think, last week, where he's a high school teacher. He's around children. Why do they always want to do movies on content for children? And these accusations have been out here. It's been an open secret in Hollywood. Whereas, why do you think in Hollywood that sexual abuse is so pervasive, and that when people call it out, it just does not go anywhere? I'm thinking like R. Kelly.
No, I disagree. I think, you know, the times are changing. You know what I'm saying? There's always, you know, what's done in dark comes to light. I really can't speak to the industry per se. I'm pretty aware of every sector. There's some form of abuse. I can just only speak on my situation with them. It's unacceptable. You know, for example, that movie needs to be boycotted.
Absolutely. There's kids in it.
Now,
Simon, did you want to jump in here? I'm sorry.
Well, I just wanted to commend, first of all, Raz for, first of all, being vocal about it. I know it's not an easy thing, and when somebody, you know, encroaches upon you that way, they try to embarrass you, they try to humiliate you, they try to shut you up. So for you to have found the strength to be able to confront this, to be able to call out your accusers, that's amazing. I'm sure that Chris and Marques are trying to go about it if nothing is happening. They're blocking people who raise accusations in front of people. They're trying not to rock the boat and trying to move on with their new life. The problem is in the organization, especially the way that their policies are, there's a lot of crevices and dark places that they try to hide in. What you're doing right now is exposing light. And I'm just happy that you're allowing us to partner with you so that we can bring attention to people in the position where they'll be forced to investigate what you're saying happened. And like I say, I thank you for allowing us to be able to help you with that.
Nah, you know what? Teamwork makes the dream work, and God has given me the strength. The support has given me the strength, because when it's all said and done, I typically like to mind my own business, but when you're starting to get in the way of my livelihood and how I try to provide for my family and for myself, that means you're still trying to like cyber bully me. New life. I don't know if you can live a new life until you shared your old one.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And they're fucking liars. You know what I'm saying? So whoever needs to see this video over in the Jehovah Witness community, whoever we need to call, wherever the petition is at, we definitely need to keep this moving. You know what I mean? Because
absolutely,
I'm here to tell you guys, I have no reason to lie. And I noticed they tried to pay me off. They tried to have me do this retraction tape years ago, but other people started to come forward. Shout out to Quentin Tarver and different people that had these experiences. And, having money, it can help a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, we're in a different era now, and I believe it's time that we have justice. And we're going to get justice if we all work together.
Right. It's like they call it, the Time's Up movement. It's time up, and it's me too. Like I was talking to Matt when Matt was talking about this. I think we were talking about, how to go about the interview and when you agreed to come on. And Matt was talking about how important it is, especially men, to speak up, right?
Absolutely. Raz, again, just like Simon said, I really appreciate you coming on. And it's, as you mentioned, culturally, there's a lot of issues because we don't speak up about abuse when it happens to men. Unfortunately, a lot. There's a big stigma. And the fact that you are being so brave and courageous and speaking about it, and you've been doing it for so long, is important. Spencer and I discussed, I remember hearing about this when I was in high school, and that was 10 plus years ago.
Right.
And, I remember very clearly, hearing about Chris Stokes and what he had been doing from other Jehovah's Witnesses. So the fact that this is still going on a decade plus later is ridiculous, and it really needs to be stopped. So the fact that you're continuing and you're speaking out even louder, it's something to be commended, and it's something that I'm happy to take part in and support.
All praise to God, man. It's my calling just to live in my truth and serve God. Like, how can I serve God and serve two masters? You know what I mean? So it's many times they're like, well, you should have just shut this down. And like, I don't, who wants to spend their energy time talking about these motherfuckers? I don't.
I'm glad you cussing and not me. So
right, because they get on Jives.
Listen, Raz, somebody said in the comments about CPS, which they say they were saying that Matt was saying that they need two people to verify this. Now, here's the thing. When this stuff is reported, there's always somebody else who they report to, and then they get paid off. And then the situation goes away. And then they hope in hopes that these people get so outraged with it that they go kill themselves. And I'm just like, how is this in any way, shape, form, or fashion godly? How is this any of that? They're upset about R. Kelly, black man, Bill Cosby, a black man, and you have Chris Stokes, Marques Houston. Now, mind you, don't get me wrong. I have always been I didn't know anything was going on. I honestly, I didn't. I was so engulfed with church myself. even though I still listen to the music. I didn't know this is how secretive they had this stuff going on. Marques Houston and Chris Stokes go on like scot-free. They make fun of Raz B because he decides to speak out. Now, what I find ironic is Lil Fizz gets on the show. J-Bug gets on 106 and Park, works at BET. Omarion, #1 CD, whole bunch of followers, all this other stuff like that. And that just leaves Raz B. Raz B speaks out and he gets shit-faced.
Can I say something though? Raz is still moving because Raz, you just dropped your new song. It's hot. Keep it going. Keep it going. I mean, if I could have had time to put a clip in here, I would have. But I just applaud you for still working in your craft because a lot of people child sex abuse survivors. They get shunned. They get put out. In our organization, they get kicked out and they treated as if they're dead by their families if they report abuse.
That has to change. You know, there needs to be even the abusers need to go get some help. You know, and maybe they don't need to go to jail. Maybe they do. Maybe they need some help. I don't know. I'm not the person to decide that, but that shit ain't fair. And to walk around claiming, oh, you're just Jehovah Witness, and you try not to like step up, be a man. Step up, be a man of God. Confess your sins publicly. You know what I'm saying? And maybe your repercussions won't be that bad. But around and try
so, Raz, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
How did you feel when Marianne, I'll say Moniece, and a few others who probably didn't believe you or admitted that they had issues with your own testimony? How do you feel about people like that in our community now saying, okay, let's do something now? I mean, is it kind of like a betrayal?
You know, when there's controversy, nobody really wants to associate their brand with that. So I understand. But I do commend the people. Shout out to Orion, shout out to Amari. I do commend the people that have decided to become an ally with me because they believe what they want to believe. You know, it's not they weren't there in the room, so they don't know. But yet at the same time, you know the truth when you hear it. So for me, it's somewhat vindicating to where it's not so much more bullying going on and a lot more support. And I believe when, like in the past, excuse me, I'm really hungry, but I believe in the past that when they had me do that retraction tape, that cut out all the support I could have had back then. So it was even more traumatizing, have to walk through everything that I had to walk through and continue to move on with my life and my career, whether it be in China or so on and so forth. Because essentially they're like, well, we're not fucking with this guy. We're done with him. But God is the only person that can cancel me.
I know that's right.
So, it's frustrating, but I just stay focused on myself, my mind, my mental health. Stay in the gym, read books, you know what I mean? But it irritates me sometimes, so I try not to focus on that energy because I be looking at them like, yo, bitch ass niggas, man, fuck you niggas. Like I really be like turned up in my crib. And that's about a week ago. I was like, I'll slap the shit out of both of y'all. Like I want to fade. Fuck the courts. Fuck all this. You know what I'm saying? We don't got to deal with it. But we can box though.
I think honestly because
I was gonna.
Okay, I'll give me 1 second. I think because what really just kind of rubbed me all the way the wrong way is that they jumped in the church, and I'm sitting here like, so you went. I mean, me personally, they could have stayed in the music industry and tried to hide, but to jump in the church just lets me further see and know just the hypocrisy that really goes on and how people will sit here and they act like they're just so righteous and holy. It was Spencer, it was a screenshot where Chris Stokes was talking about he just got baptized. Well,
exactly.
Being baptized doesn't mean you still don't like men and boys. Being baptized does not mean that you don't like you don't have the appetite for the things that you do. And again, let me say this, and I'm gonna hand it over to Matt. I remember I don't know how or why, Chris Stokes had popped up in my news feed on Instagram. And I was like, dang, I would love to interview Chris Stokes. I said, you know, he's done a lot with B2K, whatever. That's where I was. And so he was very, again, people know who I am. People know who I am, and they know good and well. Once I find out something, it's their ass. Now, for y'all who don't like me to cuss, you can kiss my ass in these goddamn comments. First of all, and then I just went through this whole cleaning. I just kind of like unfollowed a lot of people. When I heard Raz B talking, I was like, oh, that's why he didn't want to talk to me. Oh, well, search your ass. Because first of all, how dare you think that the church is going to protect you when even if you jump in the church, what you did was wrong. And I think the only thing that Raz even said was, hey, nigga, just go take the polygraph test. Matter of fact, just go apologize. I don't even think at this point, to be honest, apology could even help anything. Because really, you took the time and years to ruin this young man's life. And then what made it so bad was the rest of the group members talked about the boy like he was crazy. And now they want to be like, well, something did happen to him.
Something did. Can I say something to that? And then we can pass it to Matt. I just want to say that for people listening, I don't know who needs to hear this, but even if you have mental issues, even if you have trauma, most of it's probably trauma, even if it is trauma, whatever is going on with you, that does not make the sex abuse allegations any less credible.
Right.
Go ahead, Matt.
That's so true, Spencer. What I was gonna say was, first of all, Raz is really, he's really generous, and he's definitely he's got a good heart, because if that was me, I don't know if I would be saying, I don't know if I want them brothers to go to jail, and I forgive them. Just like you said, we might have to fight, But it's interesting, going back to what I mentioned before. I had heard about some of the things that Chris Stokes was doing years ago, because I was friends with Jehovah's Witnesses in California and in other places, and they had known about Chris Stokes, and they said he was a little weird, and he had been doing some things that made them a little uncomfortable. And not that I had heard of any specific allegations of abuse, but it's just interesting, like Jives had mentioned, that after these guys are doing this stuff, they jump straight into religion, and they're preaching to be holy, and they use this as a cover. Even if they do genuinely feel like they're doing the right thing and they have a clean heart, you can't have a clean heart if you don't acknowledge what happened in the past, the wrong that you did to someone. And if you're continuing to lie, then you're definitely not living with a clean heart.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible says, touch not that ones do my prophets no harm. I'm one of God's anointed ones. I'm one of God's prophets. So it's really like my God against your puny God. Because the devil he's serving, we all know the God we all serve is a loving, truthful God. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, they've been in the church. Chris been a Jehovah's Witness. You know what I'm saying? He's been a Jehovah's Witness. He got Marques into being a Jehovah's Witness. And he was doing that shit then. So what makes you think he ain't doing it now?
Yes, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was pointing at you to say something.
Oh, well, I want to say a couple of things. First off, again, thank you so much for coming out, especially as a male survivor. As also former survivor of child sexual abuse, it's really not easy. I remember the second protest I did. First one, they kind of avoided me and they would like walk around us, But second one, we kind of stood up in front of everybody and we had cameras there. We were doing a documentary. So they got a little bit more testy. And I remember at one point, someone had mentioned that I was a survivor of child sexual abuse, and some of the elders that were there laughed at me. And one of my buddies that was there with me lost it and started like going at him, because he was like, how dare you laugh at her for being a child sexual abuse victim? But like, this is not easy. Like, coming out publicly about this stuff, trying to have some sort of palatable conversation about this in especially an international community, this is something that's international, is really difficult. And Jehovah's Witnesses put the cult in culture, and a lot of this, whether it's Hollywood, Catholicism, Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, whatever you want to say it is, a lot of them have these stipulations and policies in their organizations that caused this to continue. And nobody wants to take accountability. Epstein pled the fifth. The Watchtower Society is pleading the fifth in Australia for the sex abuse crimes. Other organizations have come forward and said, we're sorry this happened to you. We want to address this within our organization and change what we need to change. Jehovah's Witnesses have outright refused to do anything about it. So really, it's one thing if you have a problem in your culture, in your society, and people start using their voices and speaking out, and you guys can actually get somewhere. With Jehovah's Witnesses, all they've done is change their terminology to make it less easy for the press to attack them. The press is what they're most afraid of. That's like their kryptonite. So by having you come out and speak about your story, and by having other survivors come out and speak about their stories, that's the only way really through the press to do any sort of legislative change.
And legal action too. We can file.
Yes, absolutely.
We can file a lawsuit against Jehovah's Witnesses as well. So I'm sorry that happened to you, but God did put in that we can't handle, and we are all here clearly to change the world. And how we do that is we change the world by coming together and letting God do this, and we're doing a great job. You know what I mean? For me, and I'm sure that for all of us, this is our healing process. You know what I mean? To be able to feel whole again. Because when you really sit back, like I tried to, when I was a kid, when I was a little young, I tried to justify what was going on. Now I look back, it's like, nah, them niggas molested you, bro. Like for real. Like you were underage, and you were dealing with grown man and grown woman, and they've done this before.
They're probably still doing it.
Probably.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. The more people plead the fifth, or the more people do things, especially with people who are of a younger age, there's a high chance that they're still continuing to do this behavior. It's been studied now for many, many years, and I'm not saying that psychology is completely there yet. It's still really early science. But as far as recidivism for people who engage in pedophilic behavior, it's very high. People have a hard time staying away from that if they have that tendency. And I know there's a stigma where if someone were to come out and say, hey, this is a problem I have, probably wouldn't be very friendly for them to do that. But like you said, it's about taking accountability. The more people we see take accountability for this kind of stuff and saying, hey, I need help, looking for help, trying to find ways to integrate themselves back into a normal life where they're not harming other people. That's what we need. Absolutely. The pleading the fifth, the shutting down survivors, the bullying, the harassment, the legislative changes in their favor, in the favor of corporations, in the favor of anybody who's abusing. Those are all things that need to change. And I really look forward to seeing that, hopefully, in the next several years.
And I just want to say, look, if Jehovah's Witnesses, because I know y'all always trolling my posts and jumping in my inbox and all of that, if in fact you have nothing to hide, if in fact you have not hidden child abuse or done the things that the courts say, then why are you paying hush money to Jehovah's Witnesses? Why are you paying out millions? We know that you are. We have the records. So if you're continually hiding abuses, you're going to pay more than that. You're going to pay millions more. And if y'all got it like that to keep doing it, go ahead.
So let me say this. Now, this is a very touchy situation because I'm gonna bring this person's name up. But T.I. had wrote a song, I think it was last year or the year before, and it was talking about situations like this. And he talked about how people are going to get fed up and they're just going to take action themselves. I'm not a person to say go kill somebody. But there are people out here mentally that are so bothered by what is going on, and then they see what the people continue to do, they'll take action themselves. And I think that, you know, for people to not even want to see things done right, and then the outcome is this. I mean, I'm like Matt. I don't want to see nobody go to jail or killed or anything, but it's like you taking a child's innocence and then you stand up as if you're okay. You get married to your little wife and you got your little couple children. But do you remember them trips that you done took with me and probably like two other boys and maybe a little girl, and you had them doing all types of things and carrying on? This is the stuff that I'm talking about. And then now I know the Jehovah, I ain't gonna say I know. but I'm not sure the Jehovah's Witnesses have to deal with this part. But I know in Christendom, you have a lot of people talking about, oh, I have the spirit of discernment. Okay, so you got the spirit of discernment, and you didn't see this preacher doing this to the young men? You didn't see the church mother or evangelist doing this to the young women? Y'all got the spirit of discernment, but y'all didn't notice that this child went from jovial and happy to now they sitting off in the corner by themselves. You mean to tell me you are a prophetess or a prophet, and you don't see, you can prophesy houses and cars, and somebody gonna get a brand new man, but you can't see the hurting. See, the Bible says the fivefold is to rebuke and to reprove. Y'all mean to tell me that y'all can't rebuke these folks that's standing up in the pulpit? Oh, I forgot them your friends. Okay, I'm done, y'all.
Oh, you so silly. But you know what else, Jives? Jives, as he go off the screen. There you go. But we talked about this. The witnesses they say Holy Spirit operate, but all you have to do is come in there, be a man, work your way up, do some chores around the church, and you move up and up and up. It has nothing to do with being called or gifts of repentance. That ain't how these churches work. It has nothing to do with that.
What was that preacher's name? Bishop Eddie Long?
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
Where's he?
You don't want me to go there, Raz.
Where's he at?
He's dead.
Bishop is dead. He dead.
And I don't think those boys I think they got a settlement, but they still were dragged by the church. Oh,
Bishop Eddie Long died.
How?
In pride. You said how?
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. Bishop Eddie Long died. He said he had cancer. Now,
he probably had something.
That could be in many forms of cancer.
Unspecified illness.
Yeah, unspecified. We'll just say that. Okay. Y'all are so wrong in these comments.
Where y'all looking at? Oh, shit.
Bishop Eddie Long died. And you know what got me with Eddie Long was Eddie Long did a whole march against homosexuality, only to be found out that you was sleeping with young men, traveling around the world, paying transgender women out here, sleep with them, and then to do a whole march. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah, that boy probably had AIDS.
It's kind of irrelevant, but very funny in the fucked up way. So I'm a Hungarian, as you can read on the screen, and our government is a very white Christian supremacy kind of vibe. So very nice, very cool. Please assassinate someone. Anyway, and one of the main political leaders who was enacting homophobic and other policies, just like this January, was caught in Brussels, fleeing an orgy with 25 men and heroin, shimmying out the window. And it's just the whole thing of you are holding the Bible and being like homosexuality and depravity is a sin and all that, and then how are you gonna be caught in the middle of a pandemic, breaking the lockdown laws, having a 25-man orgy with heroin, shimmying out the window? Like, you can't make this shit up. I'm just like, bro, how? What?
Well,
That's crazy.
Good point. You bring up a good point, because Chessa brought up Epstein. And who's the chick that was with him now? Maxwell is in jail now, the one that was his accomplice. They say you dropping tea from Hungary, Molly.
Oh, you know it. And about Jehovah's Witnesses, they do this shit too. Like, if I was a JW and someone saw me smoking a cigarette, I would be disfellowshipped, publicly stated like, Sister Molly has been disfellowshipped for engaging in smoking. This is how they would announce it publicly to the congregation, publicly. And then I asked the elder, like, hey, so how do you process a pedophile? And he was like, well, we reprove them, we disfellowship them. And I'm like, okay, good. Do you announce why? And he was like, not really, because Jehovah, ex-Jehovah Witnesses, don't kill me, I'm just quoting an elder here.
You all right?
And he was like, Jehovah is a forgiving God, and he wants us to be in a good relationship with our brothers and sisters, and we cannot label each other like this, because the brother and sister would be ostracized, and that stain wouldn't be washed off their name and off their back. And I was just there like, you literally labeled people who live apostates, mentally diseased, and satanic. What the actual fuck are you talking about? We don't want to label anyone, and Jehovah is not a God who wants to label anyone. And I'm just like,
I need to learn. I need to say that. Molly, you from Hungary? I need to learn how to say what the fuck. Fuck. That's how I need to learn that. Maybe they'll accept my words a little bit better.
And I was just like, they didn't know that I was an apostate, so they didn't know that I used to be a Jehovah's Witness. They thought I
don't mean to interrupt you, Molly, but Raz, I just want to let you know, we thank you so much for coming on our platform. We thank you so much for sharing your story. If you guys want deep details or want to know Raz has spoken out in the media, and he has been for years. He doesn't have to do on this platform. Just do a Google search, go on to YouTube. It don't take but 2 seconds. He has been told his story over and over and over again. Raz, do you want to leave us off with any last words before you get out?
Well, I just want to thank you all for shining light on this. You know, I commend all of y'all. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. Everyone used to be a part of the Kingdom Hall, correct? Jehovah's Witnesses?
No, I'm Church of God in Christ. No.
Okay.
Well, except for Jives. All of us have, except for Jives.
Okay. Well, no, I just think it's really cool that that we're all able to come together and use our voices to make one powerful voice. It's going to be an ongoing journey, but I encourage you all to never stop speaking your truth. You know, I'm going to make sure I follow everybody on Instagram, make sure I stay connected with everybody. I'm looking forward to that petition and circulating that. I'm also looking towards that intro video that you played, because I'm probably going to post that too.
Oh, you know what? I got you on that. I did that clip this morning. I got you.
Nah, it's nice. You know, definitely have to move into some. I have to shift gears and move into another project. I'm actually about to jump back in and work on the document.
I know.
But I just want to up. It's called Full Disclosure. It's directed by Travis Payne. We have some really excited producers. I'm sure you guys all will know the names. They will be revealed pretty soon. It's going to be a nice series for us all to watch. Hopefully, I can incorporate you all a part of this journey as well. And let's just keep pushing forward and do whatever
we keep moving
out there, because that's really what it's about.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
again.
Raz. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
There's love.
Thank you. One love. Much love. Much love.
Joe.
Peace. Sorry, he said he had to go, y'all.
Let me, because Matt, you were an elder in the church. I'm an elder in the church. You know, I find it funny that, and y'all Jehovah's Witness. I'm coaching Church of God in Christ. Okay, Raz, thank you so much for coming on. Let me say this, and I want y'all to just make this make sense to me, because it really don't make sense, and I'm not even gonna try to make it sense. It just is what it is. So the bishops can smoke, drink, commit fornication, sleep around with young men and things, and the church will build a facility for rehabilitating the preachers. Y'all with me? Did I lose y'all?
I hear you.
Will rehabilitate the preachers. But what about the people that sat out here and did? What about the bishop that got 2 babies out of wedlock by 2 of the young women in the church, and got a over here sliding his meat to the young little 13-year-old boy that's sitting over there playing the drums. So they get rehabilitation. But what about the people that they've done all this stuff to? Like, make that make sense to me. What I was saying earlier was, it's so hypocritical to sit out here and to say that you're living a holy and set apart life when you're doing all these things. And because you're supposed to be the man of God, no, I'm gonna say it like this in church, the man of God, because you're supposed to be the man of God gets a scot-free card. He get a get out of jail free card. The man of God can do all of this stuff and continues to do it. But people that he's been, or he or she has been involved with, have to live with these things for the rest of their life. It was a young lady, I had just did a story on her some months ago. And the preacher started messing with her. I think she was like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, something like that. And the little girl never said nothing because the pastor said it was okay. But she thought it was wrong when the preacher went after her sister. She was like 15 then. So all of these years you've been screwing this young lady and messing with this young lady, and then you jump from her to now you go to her sister. Then there was another young man who was a friend of mine. He was molested by a junior bishop in the church. Now this ain't Church of God in Christ, but this is somebody else. He was molested by a junior bishop in the church, and the young man told him, the boy was 8 years old, I believe. He told the boy 8, said, if you tell somebody, I'm gonna kill you.
Wow.
So then you have people who grow up with this stuff, and then you see these people are preaching this stuff, and it's like, okay, so you preach against this stuff, but you're gonna take me back to the room, and we're gonna do what we normally do. So really, what is holiness and what is righteousness?
And here's the thing, a lot of times, Jives, other kids are set up for abuse because, number one, they're silencing the victim, and they're silencing the perpetrator obviously don't want it out. So he's free to just snake his way through the church and just mess with other kids because nobody else knows to protect their kids because the church ain't telling nobody, not even the congregation, not even the church. Wouldn't you agree, Matt?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest issues structurally with Jehovah's Witnesses. I had mentioned it on the chat that we had on Facebook Messenger. Before I left the Jehovah's Witness organization, there was an issue with a pedophile in my congregation, and he had came to our congregation. Him and his family came from Guyana, South America, and when we received a letter in the congregation, basically what they told us was, in the congregation down in South America, they handled the situation, and it's not to be announced in our congregation in New York. Now, as Molly mentioned earlier, if you get caught smoking a cigarette, you could get disfellowship from the Jehovah's Witnesses. And, people, the rumor will go out quick. Oh, Molly was smoking cigarettes. But, you have full-on pedophiles. And we were instructed as elders not to tell anyone in the congregation except those with small children. And that was counterintuitive because only people in the congregation that had small children was myself and my wife and another sister in the congregation of 100 people. So you have someone that's going out, knocking on doors, coming to the Kingdom Hall 2 times a week, and no one knows that this person is a pedophile.
And that's the basis of a lot of the lawsuits is the repeat abuse. Because some of the, like you said, some of the perpetrators are allowed to abuse again. But here's the thing. How can we not say at this point, with all the cases we've seen, from all the stories we've heard over the years, all the millions that they've paid out, all the court cases all over around the world, that it's not a haven for sex abusers? They know they can see the rules and exploit them more than any other church because they know the Jehovah's Witnesses, like, and we played in the onset of the video, they will fiercely defend their members in public and in private.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Anybody else want to jump in here?
Yeah, I know that's right. They will protect their members. Like when I left the organization, I was 15, and I left for various reasons. But basically, I left, and when my adoptive Jehovah's Witness sister turned 18, one night she appeared knocking on my window with all of her stuff in a duffel bag, and she was like, "Hey, can I leave my stuff here? I'm running away from home." And I was like, "I haven't spoken to you in like at least 2.5 years. I don't know what is going on, but hey, look, I'm gonna help you because we grew up together." And the next day, police came asking me, "Have you spoken to her?" I was like, no, knowing what, distance gave me insight on and growing up a little from like 15 to 18, I was like, well, no, I haven't seen her. I was like, why would I? We haven't spoken in years. And basically, come to find out, she ran away because her father was still abusive with all the reproof, quote unquote, that he's gotten from the organization. And she became an apostate until we were like 21, pushing 22, and she went back because guess what? Oh, well, Dad apologized. He repented. I'm like, he what? He apologized?
Right. Molly, I don't know if you remember me telling you and Matt that a Jehovah's Witness in my group, because I run a Jehovah's Witness support group, we just had about 11,000 members. She reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm pregnant," and I'm congratulating her, like, "Oh, you're pregnant," She's like, "No, I was raped, and I'm pregnant by an elder," and it just floored me. I didn't know what to say. And before we wrap up here, Chessa, do you have anything? I know you got to go. We thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, I was so
with everything.
And to meet everybody and to see everybody again. I just want to say I appreciate everybody so much, especially Raz for using his voice. We all need to use our voices together, and that's how we're going to all build solidarity and actually tackle some of these problems. And we should not stop speaking out until that's the case. So if you're somebody who's been through some kind of abuse similar to this, if you feel like you're alone, if you feel like you're isolated, like nobody's there for you, or you're going to lose your community or the people around you, your family, if you come out about this, we are here for you. All of us are here for you. You can contact us. You can find me on Facebook, Chessa Manion. You can write to me at useourvoice@gmail.com. And you can reach out to the rest of us as well. And believe that you do have support behind you. And the more that this builds, the more support we'll have, not only for sexual abuse, but for all of the issues that we talk about. I love all of you so much for being so brilliantly yourselves, like Molly, and being so self-expressive. Bringing this out to the table in a way that people are actually going to listen and are actually going to digest this, and hopefully that'll lead to healing. So thank you guys so much.
Yes. Thank you so much, Chessa.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chessa.
Thank you. Take care.
Now,
guys.
anybody else got to dip out? I'm joking. I know you ain't Molly isn't hungry. Can you tell everybody what time it is there? Because it's a ridiculous time, I know.
It's 11:30.
Wow.
I should have
You
been.
gotta go to work in the morning.
I'm gonna be fine. I'm just gonna shoot up some. But I just wanted to say that to Raz and Chessa and you, Spence, and you, Jives, and everyone on this panel speaking out. Thank you, and I'm so grateful that life, faith, God, whatever you want to call it, the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, brought us together to do something meaningful and to do this and to call attention to this important issue that affects many of us, because it's not just the JWs and the Christians, it's religion in general that allows these spaces, in my experience, as I have been navigating, talking to various people of various religious backgrounds. It's really a big religious like organization thing that sometimes makes this kind of like hiding abusers possible and hiding it behind scripture and holiness and all that. And I'm grateful that you all are here, that we are here, that we persevered, and that we gathered ourselves to be ourselves and be open about what happened and what
Right.
we experienced. And
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. I at some point I think this is giving me the courage to actually talk about my experience publicly. At some point, I know you Molly, you listen to me crying all the time and PM and all of the stuff about it, but I have to say that I would like to know. I like to think that us coming together today, especially with Raz B, will give people courage to let them know that, like Chessa said, this is not easy to go out and say something like this happened to you as a child. I can tell you that as a survivor, it's not easy to talk about because people discredit your story. They shut you down. They count you out. And I'm just hoping that you guys, if you want to know how you can help from here, make sure that you go out to the petition that's on this link, that's on this post. Change.org. I think it has like 15 signatures. I started it like a couple of days ago, and I'm just now starting to promote it. But this is something that's really important to Raz because he wants them off the streaming platforms. He also has a GoFundMe. The link is on here. Like I said, you guys have already donated. Thank you. Some of you have already donated. Thank you so much for that. That is in conjunction with his lawyer. They are using those funds, 100% of those funds, to go towards a fund for sex abuse survivors and to fund his activism. Matt, you had any, or sorry, Simon, then Matt?
Well, I was going to say, if anybody is listening and is wondering how they can help, how they can pitch in, first of all, you can share this video with anyone who you think that may benefit from it. Second, you can be active, be vocal. Molesters, abusers, they want to hide in the darkness. They don't want to rock the boat. Well, it's up to us to use our voices to support the victims. Chris Stokes and Marques Houston, let's make them uncomfortable. Reach out to those in a position of authority to have this matter brought to light. They're blocking everybody. They're shutting down avenues where their secrets can get out. It's up to us to shed light on that. So as a ex-witness, I know one of the worst things that could happen is to somebody to not only to contact your personal body of elders, because sometimes congregations cover over their own sins, but to reach out even a step above that. So, we found their assembly hall, so we will be reaching out to their district overseer, and again, like we've narrowed down their assembly halls, their congregations. So, if you guys want that information, so you can write your own letters, so you can reach out, make your own phone calls. Again, the more voices, the better. We can all partner together and make sure that these abusers don't find a hiding spot so they can turn around and continue this abuse. That's it.
Matt, do you want to jump in here?
Yeah, sure. Just to piggyback off of that, it's important that we support these things like petitions, like writing letters, because that's the only way we can really get change. And for those of us who are watching, who are former Jehovah's Witnesses, we know how stubborn and how just ruthless that organization is. They don't listen to people. They don't care about survivors. They don't care about former members. But what we can do is generate enough attention so that people who are on the outside and people who dealt with these things before, they can make some noise and the media can pick it up. You know, if you've been around Jehovah's Witnesses, and some of Jives, you know, viewers might not know Jehovah's Witnesses in the same way, but for Chris Stokes and Marques Houston to be allowed around people in a congregation, it's just dangerous, because congregations are filled with so many people, and Jehovah's Witnesses are known for going door to door. When they pair off people to be partners to go door to door, they could be paired off with children. They could be in field service groups with children. And that's dangerous. It's something that should not be allowed at all. And the more attention that comes out for this is only going to help, because they may never be dealt with legally. But if people know, people can point at them and say, hey, you know, Raz B has been saying for 15, 20 years that you're an abuser. This person has been saying that you're an abuser. Then something can be done about it. People can keep their children away from them. And at the end of the day, we don't want there to have to be any more survivors. So please support the petitions, write letters if you have to, share this video, and let everyone know that these things have been going on, and Raz B has been talking about this for years.
And if you don't have the address, don't wait on us for the address, because a lot of y'all got local Kingdom Halls. Look, they knock on y'all doors, go knocking on their door. They write y'all letters, write them a letter back, because you know they in the pandemic they can't go to the door, so they writing us letters. When they write us a letter, say, hey, did you see that Raz B interview? What y'all doing about that? Why you trying to recruit me into your religion? So write your local Kingdom Hall. I mean, right. And somebody said, how can you tell your story? I know that our panel talked about doing a part 2. So that survivors can tell their stories, and we could talk about kind of debrief from this interview today. So you might want to look out for that. Jives always speak out about this, and he said he's going to keep speaking about this. So tune into his channel if you want to keep up with the latest with the petition and everything. Jive and I like to think that our collab is not over. It won't be over for quite some time after this show. So yeah, I know that's pretty much wraps it up for me. I don't know Jazz. Who was Jazz? Jives. Jazz. I know we in your house today. You gonna let us all go?
Well, you know, I'm so grateful that you all are in my house, and I would like to say that you all are not guests. You all are like family members, and I do appreciate, you know, being able to collab together and to work together. It's great to see other people who are fighting the fight to help people, because again, a lot of people want to be known for a lot of things, but the best thing to be known for is helping somebody else. I'm very grateful that I did this video, because I had an emotional day today. But you know, one thing about it is the legacy that you have did, the work that you've done on this earth is the legacy that you want to leave. You know, a lot of people do a lot of talking about this, that, and the third, how to make money. But what are you going to leave on this earth? What are you going to leave behind when you close your eyes the very last time? What we have done here today is something that a lot of people need to be doing and speaking out. When they think about you, Simon, Spencer, Molly, Matt, Chessa, Raz, is that you have a voice and you didn't stay quiet. You have a gift of making people laugh and telling stories, but you also help somebody out in their need. It's just like the story with I feel like I'm doing like the preacher doing now. It's just like the thing with the Good Samaritan. You know, you're a good person. Now take that good that you are and go help somebody else along the way. I love what I do, but it comes with a bunch of bumps and bruises and scars. It don't feel good at times. You're gonna cry, all this other stuff like that. But just remember, the reward is you're helping somebody else along the way.
Well, Josh, you know my personal beliefs, but I can't say nothing but amen to that. Amen. Amen. Come on now. And don't nobody want to hear that sermon.
No. So listen, y'all that are watching this video, I'm gonna say this on behalf of both platforms, XJayDub and King Jives, Jive Nation. I want y'all to share this video. Share this video. This is not about numbers, but we need other people who have been hurt and abused by the Jehovah's Witness and by church folks at large, and let them know that it's okay to tell your story. It is, I'm gonna say it one more time for y'all back there in the back by the exit door. Listen, it is okay for you to tell your story, because that should have never happened to you, period. So make sure y'all share this on your Facebook, inbox it to somebody, share it on YouTube, share it to somebody's DM, since y'all be sending everything else in the DMs.
I know you ain't just say that. Y'all sharing
make sure y'all
everything
send
else.
this video to the DM. All right. Praise God. So anyway,
Absolutely.
I appreciate you guys for being on. I really do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I got the mute button here. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much for taking the call. Thank you so much for all that you've done. And I just want to say to you personally, Giles, my condolences on losing your loved one. And I know that live today, I was trying to keep it together. It was really hard. It was really hard, but to see you so
I need you to move
emotional.
on, Spencer, because
Okay. I just want to let you know, we love you. You know we do. We all love you. We all here. We got your back forever and always. So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. All right, guys. Well, till next time, we'll talk to you guys later, okay? So I can hit this button real quick so I can go and get off. Wait a minute. Hold on. There you go.